Hi there, Road Hazard here. I said a couple of times that I was going to do this, so I'm going to run around the yard real quick and show you guys what I got out here. And I'll give you like the 5-minute version of the history of each of these cars as I remember it. And then, edited down. I'll probably take a couple minutes per car, but I'll give you the scoop, as it were. And we'll start on the end. 1957 Studebaker President V8. This car is factory equipped with a Studebaker 289 V8, not a Ford 289. This has 16 head bolts. Yeah. Anyway, she's a 4-door. It's really pretty incredibly straight. It's pretty clean. There's a couple rusty spots. We're getting to those. So the story with this one is that it was running around pretty much every day until sometime in the late 70s, 78 or 79. It was sold to a junkyard. People started pulling interior parts out of it. And then in 1987, I think, or 1988, this guy buys it out of the yard, gets it running again, and drives it to and from his high school. And then he parks it in like 1992, 93, and it sat from then until when I got it, which was a few years ago. It actually runs really, really good. It's got a brand new gas tank, pickup, and sending unit in it. It's got brand new tires and wheels on all 4 corners with some Ford hubcaps that I had. I put a brand new carburetor on it. It's got an automatic transmission. And I redid the brakes on all 4. I put a new master cylinder in it. I deleted the Hydro Boost because they're not good in these cars. In the shed over there, I have a whole nother set of interior and door panels and all kinds of stuff for this. That hole there is access to the master cylinder. It was a rusty spot that I just started cutting out, and then I made a patch panel. I just haven't welded it in yet. But that's this car. It's pretty good. Hey, my hoodie. This paint is not original. It's a respray. I don't know what the original color was. I think it was this, and they just retouched it up because they didn't do a great job masking it. A lot of the trim, actually it's just the trim on both fenders really, but it's got overspray all over it, and so does the glass, but all the glass is bad anyway. So I have a new windshield for it. I have new rear glass, although the rear glass is actually good. I have a spare. And then I need to get new flat glass for the doors. But we can take a look at the engine. Ow, had the hood balancing on my head. There's that Studi 289. Brand new carburetor, electric fuel pump. That's an aftermarket radiator, obviously. It's out of like a Nissan Sentra or something like that. New generator, some wiring, voltage regulators new. The starter, I think, is original. I changed all the gaskets and like the oil filtration thing. I deleted the hydrovac boost crap. And that's kind of it, I think. I put a water pump on it too, so I had the front of the engine off. It runs and drives and stops. It needs springs really, really bad. The ride is too bad to drive, honestly. It basically rides on the bump stops even with brand new shocks, so needs springs bad. The next vehicle on the list is this. No, it is not a Ford Ranger. It is a Ford Courier. Specifically, this is a real legitimate Northwest 4x4 Sasquatch conversion from 1976. Exceedingly rare. Oh, they only made 1,500 of them. When I got this truck, it was running and driving, and then the trans exploded and the engine exploded. So those both got sold. And we took them out, and we're going to put a K-Code Mustang drivetrain into it. I'll get you in there, don't worry. I've had this truck for, gosh, 8 years? 7 years? 7 years, I think. Like I said, it has bone stock. It was a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder and a 5-speed stick from Mazda, because this is basically just a Mazda pickup with a Ford badge and a new grill to get around the chicken tax for light trucks back in the 70s. I had mentioned it was a factory 4x4. Somebody redid the interior. It's awesome. The stereo on this thing is actually great. There it is, right there. It is a real, actual Sasquatch. This is chassis number 780. At a 1500, so right in the middle. I have added a couple of gauges to this car. I got a tach and oil pressure. There it is. It had, like I said, a 5-speed. There's the clutch. We're going to put a C4 automatic into it, though. This truck is in amazing condition, even though I've basically been ignoring it since the drivetrain blew up. I have been slowly collecting parts, basically. But yeah, it's got the KC daylighters. I have the vintage covers, too. They're just not on the truck. It's 6-lug Jeep bolt pattern, so like Toyota stuff will fit, Jeep stuff, that kind of crap. So I have a set of Jeep turbine wheels of another vehicle that's over there that might go on this truck at some point. Don't know. I can't get the hood open. It requires like 2 people, and I only have 2 hands, and I'm 1 person. But there's nothing in there anyway. There's no engine, there's no transmission, no transfer case. So pretty slick looking vehicle. I love the style of bed. It used to be covered, as you can see. The tarp fell apart. This bumper is 1/4-inch plate. I was rear-ended by a Civic driving this. The whole front end of the Civic just smashed, and I was left with that dent. And a little bit of a headache, but yeah, truck took that one like a champ. The next vehicle on the line is not mine, so I don't know much about it. Actually, the next 2 are not mine. Oops, a little close. There you go. This 61 Thunderbird, and that, I think it's a 96 F250. Both belong to a friend of mine, the guy who helped me with the Fury. So I don't know the whole story on these, but I do know they both run. I've personally driven the Thunderbird before, so we'll poke around it just a little bit, like a respectful amount. And then, you know, if you guys want to see this car, maybe I can convince my buddy to come over and do some work to it, because it's basically just been sitting here since he got it. So this car has a 390 and a C6. And I think a Ford 9-inch. It runs fantastic. Doesn't drive quite as fantastic, but it runs good. It sounds great. It's got these awful like Ford Explorer rims on it with flat tires. The real kicker with this car is not just the big block that runs fantastic. It's the interior that's great. These are obviously not stock buckets. They were transplanted in. Somebody, the previous guy, also scabbed in all this power stuff. So like, everything's powered. The steering wheel tilts away. It's neat. I would sit in there for you guys, but it's 712 degrees because it sits directly in front of the big glowing thing. This is an 83 Jeep Wagoneer. This sat in a field for 22 years before we picked it up. And we spent about a weekend on it, and we got it to run. I actually drove it around the neighborhood. It ran and drove and stopped. It has a horrendous oil leak, and we did it by ratchet strapping a gas can to the front bumper. But yeah, it's in really, really, really good shape, except for this crinkled fender. But you can kind of see we got a set of copper fenders in there. Because I'm me. I mean, I don't really care, but somebody out there probably has a copper, like a J10 or something, and they like really need a set of copper fenders, like the bronze, metallic, whatever color it is. You know what I mean. This. I have a set of really nice fenders. If you have one of those and you need those, let me know, because I'm never going to use them. I'll just take a hammer and bang out some of those dents. All the doors shut. Great. It's full of stuff right now. I had another garage that I stored this one in, and I don't have access to that spot anymore, so it's here. So basically everything that was in there is in here. But power everything, because it's a limited. All of the gauges actually function, which is insane. Somebody took all the plastics out of them. The radio turns on but isn't hooked up to anything. We had to put a new key switch in it. The rear seats are actually in really, really good shape. The fronts are a little tore up. I have another set of seats that's in my other shed with good seat motors even to put underneath the two good seats, because those seats are trashed. But yeah, it's power everything. The windows don't work, because of course they don't. And this door handle is definitely factory. But it's, look at the door cards on this thing. I mean, this thing's nice. Yeah, that doesn't work. So that's up. You know, I bought these taillights on eBay. Just when there's the gas tank. That door card, man. All four doors open and closed, just great. Good dash. It's got a sunroof that's been globbed over with the silicone because they all leaked. Well, I guess we can. I have fixed that professionally. There's a teeny, tiny, tiny, tiny little hole right there. But look underneath this thing. Is that not the straightest original metal you have ever seen? So clean. And that's just from road grime, you know, from being a Jeep. It's good stuff. Under here, we of course have that AMC small block. Nice 360. This thing runs great. The accelerator pump is kind of shot. We'll replace that. It's fine. They're cheap. But it's got power steering. It's got air conditioning. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. This next one's pretty special to me. That right there is a 1974 Plymouth Duster. It was the first car I ever bought with my own money. I've had it since I was 18 years old. And I had just turned 18 too. And I drove the absolute hell out of it until I blew up the motor. And I pulled it out. And it's in the garage. It was a little 318. And the tranny too. Because I bought a 360 out of a motorhome. And we're going to spruce that up. Put some good stuff on there. Throw it back in with a 4-speed. And go back to ripping. I was on my way to a junkyard to help a friend of mine find parts for a Ford pickup. I saw this on the side of the road. And I said, mine. When I got it, it had 14-inch rallies on it still and no hood scoop. it ran and drove flawlessly. I daily drove this thing for a long time. And then, of course, I was like, wow, this thing's slow. So I started churching it up a little bit, and, well, we went a little too far, and she said goodbye. And that's how we ended up here. So, you know, but this car is actually in great shape. It's 2 little spots, and the same on the other side, and then the spare tire well that rusts out in every A body ever made. Yeah, that's gone. These are aftermarket buckets from like Sears, probably. Factory tough wheel, isn't that cool? Pretty bare bones, no AC, power steering, power brakes, but it had rather 318 904 auto, an 8 1/4. I had the 8 1/4 built by like the Mopar guy in Olympia, Washington. I bought the trans and it, like, basically a whole 4-speed A-body thing that somebody was selling. Everything from the flywheel to the rear yoke to put into an A-body. I got everything, including the trans tunnel. So that was pretty sweet. This is a 74, so it would have had the bumperettes on the front. You can still kind of see the clean steel. That's where those bumperettes were. But I bought this car from the original owner's nephew, I think. It had 70,000 miles original, completely, unmolested except for new carpet and those 2 bucket seats. I bought them like that. I put the slots on it because it's a 74, and that is just what you do. It's pretty straight, a couple of grandma dents, of course, up here, because this is a Duster after all, and they have so many body lines. So you get dents there, and on the back, this has both of those too. So I got this car pretty cheap. Back then, A-bodies were still affordable. But yeah, it's pretty slick. I'm a big fan of this car. I've had people ask to buy it a bunch of times, and one time I almost did sell it, and then I changed my mind. Rightly so. This car has 3-inch exhaust from the headers back. It's got 12-inch cherry bomb glass packs. It's very loud. True duals with 340 exhaust tips, the square ones that look super rad. I love this car so much. This is another one I'm slowly accumulating stuff for, so we'll get to this one too. You'll see this on the channel. There's one video with this car in it, like a burnout compilation that I made a few years ago, but I promise you will see this car run and drive on this channel at some point. Promise. Guarantee. I can't say that about anything else in this yard. But that, yes. That Jeep XJ is not mine, and it's a piece of crap, so I'm not going to show it to you. So the next car you're going to see is this. It's a 1973 Dodge Charger. And sometime in the 90s, I think it was like 93, the owner decided this was going to be his drag car. So he ripped out every single piece of the interior, everything, every scrap of wire, every washer, every nut, every bolt, every stitch of fabric, everything. Empty. But stored inside too, until maybe 4 years before I got it. So the entire body is completely rust-free. Not an ounce on the entire car, anywhere. It's immaculate. I might have some photos that I took a while ago, last time I had it in the air, and I might put those in here somewhere. Let's go look at this thing. Bunch of stuff happened. Went on vacation, came back. Anyway, continuing, new day is what I'm getting at. So we're back here with the Charger. Like I said, it was a drag car in the 90s, probably put together sometime in the early 90s, late 80s. And it was parked up in, I think it was 99 or 98, but hasn't driven since, or run since. It was originally a 318 car, as you can see. It is now a 383 big block that is kind of half disassembled. One of the teeth on the timing gear is chipped, so we're replacing that. There's a whole bunch of custom bracketry and stuff. This thing was not put in the right way, but it was put in there, so that's pretty rad. Literally everything that could have been stripped out of this car to make it faster was stripped out of it, which is pretty cool. Just like a piece of history, I guess. But that is a, I can't remember. I ran the numbers on that 383, and I can't remember what year it's from. But you can see it's got this wonderful brown paint. It's super, super straight. I put the slots on it with these new tires when I picked it up. Doesn't have any tail lights. There's a fuel cell in the trunk. You need to have the old key to get in there, flathead, so I can't open that. But there's a fuel cell and a bunch of parts in there. The outside door handle on that door isn't connected, but this one is. So we can look in here, see all the engine parts I took off of it. Look at all that nice metal. There's a lot of leaves in here. But look at those floors. Oh my God, they're so good. And both sides, front, back, trunk floor, the whole car is this solid. I mean, it's just unbelievable how solid this car is. Not an ounce of rust. Not even on the vinyl top. Rear window channel. Nice, solid metal. No rust at all. Whole car. That's why I bought it, truthfully. There's a Charger that doesn't need any metal work. Isn't that nuts? But, we'll go back inside. The start panel and the shifter were made by the guy who was racing it. Homemade. The shifter actually works pretty good. The start panel also works good. Not even wobbly. You know, it's popcorn welded in there. All this stuff is popcorn welded together. But it's what it is. It came with a really nice Griffin radiator. It's got a tack and oil pressure and water temp, and that is it, because race car. I put a new starter in it, a couple of ignition parts, and I had it running once before the timing gear ripped one off. And it's got cherry bombs, just turn downs, and it sounds just wicked. This car is nasty. The bumper is over there. I do have it. Completes the front end of the car, but it's really, really cool. I've never had a B body before. So I've had a bunch of A bodies and a couple of C bodies. There's one over there we'll get to in a minute. But I'm really, really liking this car. This will probably come up on the channel pretty soon, actually. In the next couple of months. Maybe even the next few weeks. And then the Wagoneer as well. So, and maybe also the Studebaker. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the Charger. She is a beaut. The next car out here is really cool. It used to be mine. It's not anymore. I sold it to a friend of mine. I'll still show it to you. 1973 AMC Javelin AMX clone. But my dad, when he was in high school, he had a friend who had one of these cars, and he fell in love with it. The big fenders and the big V8 and all that nonsense. It's a cool car. And he kind of wanted one forever. Never really, you know, decided to pick one up. And then I found this one in Port Angeles Washington picked it up for him. And he had it for a few years, and then he gave it back. And it sat here some more. And then my friend decided to come over one day, and he saw it. He was like, yep, I want it. And he bought it. And it's back here again because we went to our local drag strip, Firebird Raceway in Emmett. And you'll notice the front end of this car is a little overgrown. It is not weed powered. It is, or was, powered by a 401, which is obviously no longer in there. So let's crawl around this thing and have a look. So the guy I bought this from was kind of a Javelin nut. He restored a whole bunch of them. He had a bunch of them. I think when I went, he had 3 or 4. This is the one that I ended up leaving with because it was the most complete and it ran and drove. It had a 401 in it. It's got a 727 automatic from a Chrysler, because that's what AMC like to do, borrow stuff from other companies. It's got a Ford ignition system. I think the rear end is actually made by AMC. But yeah, they like to borrow stuff. That's fine. Makes getting parts pretty simple, doesn't it? But it's super, super straight, super, super solid. Not one single ounce speck and or otherwise of rust on this entire vehicle. It had a bunch of body work done long time ago. So all this primer is gonna have to get sanded and redone. But it was a complete car. All the parts that are currently missing from it are either stacked up against the side of my house or in my garage or in his shed. Because he's got a couple of engines he's putting together for this thing. But we can... Ooh, that's a hot door handle. There's that all black interior. It's kind of dirty. It's super nice, super complete. It's got a B&M star shifter, ratchet shifter, Sun Pro Super Tack, all the original gauges and whatnot. He's got a Tic Tac Talk like gauge cluster and everything he's going to put in there with the 140 mile an hour speedo. It's super cool. Cannot wait to see that in here. Awesome seats, rear seats perfect, new carpet, headliner's great. So, you know, good door card. That one's missing. He's refurbishing it. No rust, dents, or otherwise on this one either. She needs paint and a little bit more body work. Probably just redo this Bondo. But this thing ran and drove and stopped perfectly until we went to the drag strip. And he over-revved it. AMCs have a problem with anything over like 4,800 RPM for more than like 3 seconds, you're going to blow it up. And so it was his first time making a pass. And he just stood on it. He was on street tires and it spun. And he didn't lift. So, I mean, obviously, that's what happened. But, you know, it's like a rite of passage. You know, now he's a car guy. He blew up his first V8. So, that's the Javelin. And last but not least, at least the stuff that's here at the house, is, of course, the 1970 Plymouth Fury III convertible. Super rare. One of only 1,900 made. This one is a... it was originally B5 blue, 318 automatic. It is now this strange white, the black top. So let's get you in there. There she is in all her glory. This car runs, drives, and stops. I daily drove it for a number of months actually when my truck was being repaired, my diesel. And it was great, except for the fact that I sweat to death every time I got in the damn thing. No AC. 100 plus degree days here in the summer in Idaho. So I got a little toasty. But let's go ahead and have a peek under the hood. And you guys will obviously, if you've seen my video on this car, I have one video on it so far. You'll have peeked around this car a little bit. But here's that 318. It's a 1970 318 two-barrel. 230 horsepower. They rated at the factory, I think. It feels like 200 horsepower. It's not very fast, but it gets out of its own way. 3-speed automatic. It's got power steering, power brakes, and that's it. It had flip-up headlights, which is one of the reasons that made it super rare. I have regular bezels on it because the flip-up headlights don't work. Of course, none of them do. But all the bits for that pop-up set are right there, so don't fret. I didn't throw them away. I still have everything to put it back to the way it was if I wanted to, which I might someday, and if I ever sell the car, I might. So we'll see. There is a very small chance that that'll actually happen. I'm selling this car, I mean, but, you know, never say never. I do love it. I don't love the wheels. These are the wheels that were on the car when I got it. This is a set of tires that I just had. It had great tread, and they weren't very old, so I stuck them on there. This car had a ton of rust. I have repaired some of it. There was a pretty nasty spot right here. I say was because, you know, I already fixed it. But this whole fender is basically junk. It's pretty smashed up around the wheel arch. And then it had some crust, which I did, like I said, I cut out and fixed the right way. Because the rust repair, it had been repaired once before. Repaired. And this is the same quality job that they did back there. So you can see what this is fiberglass that has been bondoed over and painted. Not very well. So there's a hole there and another one here that I still have to fix. But the rest of the car is nice and solid, so that's pretty cool. The top has completely disintegrated. It was parked under a tree for about 9 years when I bought it, so I did a little like mini revival on the thing. The tree it was under dropped a bunch of shit on it over the years, and so there were a bunch of huge holes in this top that I've repaired professionally with duct tape. Interior. It's that original door cards. They're all there. They're a little torn up on the top from the sun and from sitting, of course, but not too bad. Still mostly there. This seat is obviously a little sun-baked. The rear seat is the same on the tops, but the rest of it's pretty nice. Carpet's all there. A little bit of staining. It's all good though. Obviously no headliner, it's a convertible, but there's the professionally repaired rear window. Big gap there. It's actually funny, while you're driving, this gap on top is what you see through, because this plastic is so worn out you can't see through it. So when you're looking through the rearview mirror, you're looking through that tiny gap, so you can see. Got a good dash underneath this pad. I think that was put on early, which is good. It only has 105,000 miles. Like I said, it runs and drives flawlessly. Excellent car. Mechanically. Cosmetically, it needs some love. All the lights work. All the gauges except for the fuel gauge. And the clock. But top mechanism works, the wipers work, the dash lights work, headlights, taillights, blinkers. It's not bad for a 53-year-old car. Nice old Plymouth. Floors are good, both sides. This side was a little soft. I think I did a patch on it early on when I got the car. It's got like the what do they call it? Hard top. So like this whole gap obviously comes down, opens up. There's no post because it's convertible. Pretty cool car. I love driving this thing. It's my most reliable classic at the moment. And it has been a great car the entire time that I've had it, except for those electrical gremlins that I chased down that ended up being a freaking battery. Whatever. We fixed it. Runs and drives good. It's Pretty cool car. Probably one of the rarest cars that I own right now. One of, I say, because that one's rarer, but it's still cool. We like it. It's a neat car. For now, I think that is going to do it for this video. Short little guy, I know. But hey, I was on vacation. Cut me some slack. And go ahead and shove a comment down in that box down there. Tell me what you guys want to see. Drop a like. Be sure to subscribe. I really, really appreciate every single one of you. I do. I read every comment. I know every single subscriber. All of them. I'm just kidding. But thanks for watching. Do all the stuff and the things. And I'll see you guys next time.